What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Cornelia, back with another episode of Black News, a podcast where we break down current events, hot topics, and local stories involving Black people. Now let's get into it. Oh, y'all, child. Oof, Lord, child. Ooh. Oh, y'all, child. Ooh. Ooh, yeah. Y'all, I ain't even gonna hold you. I stewed about not recording this week's episode of Black News. Y'all, I was trying to think of the amount of mental gymnastics I was doing in my head to try to find a reason to not record this podcast episode. But then I thought about it, and if that's the case, I'm gonna be ducking and dodging for the next however many months long because, child, the news done got to me this week. I am not doing well. Okay. Outside of me hating my neighbor, feeling like I'm catching a head cold, they done got Jay-Z up in the news. Y'all know how y'all know how I feel about Jay-Z. So this, please respect my privacy during this very difficult time. No jokes, but no jokes. Like the matter ain't a joke, but how can I find some sunlight in this? Because, and let me say this before I get into the meat of this episode, the meat of the topics. Before I dive deep in, let me say I am just going to read the news. For many, many reasons, I cannot elaborate or go deep into my I can't be sitting all up in my opinion on this in regards to for many reasons. If you know me personally, you probably know why. And for y'all's sake, listen, we don't want to get caught out here saying something that ain't true. You ain't about to come down. You ain't about to bring the hammer down on me. Okay? Allegedly. Let me just say that. And I'm going to name this podcast episode Allegedly. Because you ain't nobody going to bring the hammer. I'm just reading the papers. Baby, I'm just going to read the papers. I do have some questions, but for the most part, I am going to read the papers because I need more information before I can come to a conclusion. I'm just going to read the papers. Okay. And like I said, I hate my neighbor. Like, y'all, that's all. That ain't got nothing to do with this, but it's so fresh on my mind. Okay. So this week, and by this week, I mean just a few days ago when I'm recording this podcast, just a few days prior, there was a lawsuit, very public filing, where Jay-Z, Sean Carter, was added to one of the lawsuits involving Puff Daddy, Sean P. Diddy Combs. And I'm going to read specifically this so I can get this right. He has been named in an amended lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs. And of course, Jay-Z has already issued a statement. But in the civil suit, because it is not a criminal suit, it is a civil suit, which is usually for some type of compensation. Sean Carter is accused of raping a 13-year-old with Diddy in 2000. The lawsuit was first filed in October, and Combs was initially the only defendant. Now Carter has been added. Let me add, and I read through pieces of the suit. There is another unnamed celebrity woman that has been identified just by presence, but not by name. And based on what has happened and how this has played out, People are speculating, allegedly, that the same way it was brought to Jay-Z's team is the same way it has been brought to the other person in the lawsuit that we do not know, whose name we do not know. But the claim is that the anonymous Jane Doe says that she was essayed in 2000 at a MTV Music Video Awards after party. So with that, a couple things we learned. We learned that, and if I'm off base, forgive me, because there's information flying all over the place. And I am not an attorney. I'm just reading the papers, okay? We learned that the Carter camp received a lawsuit or request for deposition saying and alleging these charges before it was made public. It did not contain the person's name. It did not contain a dollar amount. It was basically like, come here, we want to talk to y'all. So the Carter camp filed a lawsuit against the attorney, Tony Busby, and essentially said, you are extorting me. I'm not doing nothing because I didn't do nothing, and this is a shakedown. It sounds like, allegedly, that one of the stipulations from the initial lawsuit and request for a deposition was, if you don't sit down with us, we gonna release your name to the public. But Jay-Z and them was like, F that, I'ma sue you back. He sued anonymously though. So there was a lawsuit against Tony Busby, but people did not know who it was. Now we know who it was. So once the lawsuit hit the streets, immediately there was a post from the Rock Nation social media accounts with a statement that many people online on social media and people who are connected with Jay-Z said that he wrote this. So I'm going to read the statement for y'all. Hold on just a second. Let me pull that thing up. It reads, my lawyer received a blackmail attempt, called it a demand letter from a lawyer named Tony Busby. What he had calculated was the nature of these allegations and the public scrutiny would make me want to settle. No, sir. It had the opposite effect. It made me want to expose you for the fraud you are in a very public fashion. So no, I will not give you, all caps, one red penny. These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree? These alleged victims would deserve real justice if that were the case. This lawyer, who I have done a bit of research on, seems to have a pattern of these types of theatrics. I have no idea how you have come to be such a deplorable human, Mr. Busby, but I promise you, I have seen your kind many times over. I'm more than prepared to deal with your type. You claim to be a Marine. Marines are known for their valor. You have neither honor nor dignity. My only heartbreak is for my family. My wife and I have to sit our children down, one of whom is at the age where her friends will surely see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims and explain the cruelty and greed of people. I mourn yet another loss of innocence. Children should not have to endure such at their young age. It is unfair to try to understand inexplicable degrees of malice meant to destroy families and human spirit. My heart and support goes out to true victims in the world who have to watch how their life story is dressed in costume for profitability by this ambulance chaser in a cheap suit. You have made a terrible error in judgment thinking that all celebrities are the same. I am not from your world. I'm a young man who made it out the projects of Brooklyn. We don't play these types of games. We have very strict codes and honor. We protect children. You seem to exploit for personal gain. Only your network of conspiracy theorists, fake physics, will believe the idiotic claims you levied against me that, if not for the seriousness surrounding harm to kids, would be laughable. I look forward to showing you just how different I am. Now, a couple things. There were mixed reactions to the statement, right? Some people were saying He wrote this. He should have had PR look over it. Why did he say something so soon? He shouldn't have said anything at all. Some people were saying good for him for saying something and it was honest and it was from his words. Good for him. Let me say this first. And again, allegedly, I don't know if this was Jay-Z, but I'm just going off what people said on social media saying that it was him in his words and that no PR looked over it. It was posted from the Rock Nation account. Y'all, having worked in corporate America for a long time, I can tell you the CEO of a label or organization do not have the login information for no Instagram accounts. Jay-Z don't got the login for the Rock Nation Instagram account. A lot of these people barely be knowing how to work their computer. Some do. I've met some great CEOs. I've been in some rooms. I met some who don't know how to work stuff. So in order to post something on the corporate social media, it has to pass through the proper channels. So I'm willing to bet that the Corp Comms team saw the statement. Okay. Let me just say that. So I believe, allegedly, I'm just saying what I believe in this instance, that they did review this and agreed to put it out. Otherwise, how y'all think he logging into the dang Instagram? He don't got the corporate Instagram account info. And then damned if you do, damned if you don't. If he wouldn't have said nothing, people would have said something. If he would have said, now that he said something, people got something to say. But the tone of it was he mattered in a mug. Okay. He cussed Tony Busby out. Okay. Now, people are mixed in their overall reaction. And I'm just giving the top of it. This has continued on where Tony Busby responded and has made comments. There were some other lawsuits that were presented. It looks like the Carter lawyers are saying that Tony Busby was dropping clients if they did not agree to lie. There's so much going on that I honestly do not believe that anytime soon we will have a clear picture about what is going on and what happened. But like I said, we do not have a full picture about what is going on, and I don't think we will have that for some time. I will say though, this particular instance and case and conversation brought up something that I don't think I was clear on in regards to civil cases, this one, others, and just in general. In this particular case, one of the things that the Carter lawyers have filed or are requesting is for the anonymous Jane Doe to reveal herself, to say, this I am this person, so that they can appropriately fight the charge or make a claim or statement that this is untrue, whether that be for public scrutiny or for themselves. But I say that say I was not clear that, and maybe I just didn't put two and two together, that in these cases it's not that they just want the public that they want the Jane Doe to be revealed to the public. They want the Jane Doe revealed to them as well. I totally missed the fact that when people get civil cases, if there's an anonymous Jane Doe, that they are requesting compensation, depositions, whatever the case may be, based on a case where you don't even know who the person is. I completely missed that. I don't know why I was under the impression that when somebody was anonymous, and now that I talk about it, I understand some cases where I knew that, but in this case, I think I don't know what switched in my mind to say, wait, they don't even know who the person is. So with that in mind, I can understand both sides. Listen, I stand with victims. And if anybody has been harmed, I stand with you. Also, if I were being asked or requested to do a deposition or charged or someone tried to sue me for amount of money, I don't think I would be able to pay the money if I don't know who I'm paying it to and what for. Nigga, you just don't know who are you giving the money to. So in this case, I feel like just hearing other feedback from is just watching lawyers on social media. Because again, I ain't no lawyer and I have not gotten on the phone with my actual lawyer friends. I've been just listening to content from lawyers. People were saying that they believe that the person's name will eventually be released and unsealed so that they can continue on with the case and start to fight it, and both sides can have their day in court, if you will. What that will do, I don't know. Because we are in a time right now where the court of public opinion is stronger than ever. I have literally not ever seen a time where people don't need to know nothing about nothing before they believe this. Literally because of this situation and before, because I brought this up on Black News a few months ago, you have people literally saying that Beyonce has something to do with Aaliyah no longer being here, which is the craziest, dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. People literally can just post something. I saw one post on Twitter where some person tweeted, yeah, all of this gonna be this was months ago. They said all this gonna be a wrap because when Foxy Brown's NDA expired in 2025, she gonna be able to tell all the dirt. The tweet went viral. I'm talking about viral. The person commented like the next day and said, "Oh shoot, I didn't mean for this to go viral. I don't even know if there's an NDA. I was just saying something." And y'all know how many people believed what the person said? Like insane. So I'm not sure if one releasing of the anonymous Jane Doe's name is going to shift the conversation. What's going to happen? I do think people going to try to attack this person because that's how crazy people on the internet do. I don't think it'll change people's immediate impression, because what I've gathered about this, people are either immediately believing that Mr. Carter is guilty or they're immediately standing in solidarity. It's very split. And based on how long stuff lasts or how long it takes to stuff to happen, who knows how long this is going to take. But the bottom line is a few things. One, we know this doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the federal trial that Puff is in jail for. Like, there's no criminal charges against Jay-Z. It's just this civil suit. We know people been trying to dig up dirt by Tony Busby. People in Houston been saying he's shady. Some people have been saying he do a good job. Again, the jury is split on that. We don't know if this is going to have a substantial impact on the finances of Jay-Z. We also don't know how this will affect Beyonce, if it will at all. And I'm not going to speculate on that because, again, I don't know people. I don't know their marriage, and I don't really care about that. I think we just need to sit back and see how all of this plays out, because this shit crazy. Okay. And I'm not doing well. I am not doing well. Okay. But what do y'all think about this? Y'all know I'm gonna keep delivering. I'm gonna keep reading the papers because that's all I got to give. I'm gonna keep reading the papers. But you know, this is crazy. Okay. But let me know what y'all thought and what y'all think. Do you think this going to be resolved quickly? Do you think there's no coming back from this? Do you have an idea about who that third person was in the room, the unnamed woman celeb? Let me know all of your thoughts about this topic. You can find me at Canelia on social media. In slightly related news, The legendary Blue Ivy Carter made her red carpet appearance for the world premiere of Mufasa, which is another spinoff. I guess it's a prequel of The Lion King. Mufasa, y'all know who Mufasa is. Our dog Mufasa. This movie is essentially telling the story about how him and Scar came up. Well, Beyonce is reprising her role of Nala, and Blue Ivy is playing the role of Kiara, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is Simba. No, it's Mufasa. It's somebody's daughter, child. I don't know if it's Simba and Nala daughter. She's somebody kid, okay? I heard a quick snippet preview audio on social media of her, and she did a really good job. Y'all, Blue Ivy Carter be doing her thing on the voiceovers. She read the audio book for Hair Love. She's in this. Hey man, this might be a lane for her. Did a really good job, and she's only 12 years old. So she showed up to the red carpet in a beautiful gold lame ball gown, Christian Siriano custom design. It was strapless, really cute. Had her braids done. She just is the cutest and most adorable. She's 12, like she's a kid. She already taller than Beyonce. You can tell she's really shy, and rightfully so, because she's a child. And I just can't believe it. Like she is such a beautiful young woman, and I'm happy she got that opportunity to walk the red carpet, and to, like, a Beyonce and Jay-Z let her like go and take pictures first, because it's her night, it's her moment. Which is it's incredible. The internet was in shambles because they didn't think that Beyonce, and specifically Jay-Z, was gonna show up. Mama Tina was there. People's all over. Why he got to come? Y'all, we don't know what's going on in that family. Okay, we just got to sit back and watch and shut up and not complain. Personally, I thought they looked really nice on the red carpet. And I wasn't surprised that Jay-Z showed up after he cussed y'all ass out in that Rock Nation statement. And by y'all, I mean myself as well, because I read it and I felt like I had got cussed out. Okay. So, damned if you do, damned if you don't. I think the point is, and it's unfortunate that it was getting overshadowed by all of the circumstances, is that Blue Ivy Carter is really making a lane for herself. And I'm always just so interested to see where she ends up, right? Where she ends up. She literally can do anything that she wants. I believe someone was talking about how smart she is. Blue Ivy Carter could go in entertainment. She could be talent. She can be behind the scenes, executive. Look at Malia Obama. Malia is a writer, directed her own like short film. You can literally, there's so many opportunities and doors to open up for you, and when you have parents that can put you in position, because baby, I'm a fan of nepotism. Okay, ain't nobody working this hard for you to be on the struggle bus. Get out of here. You gonna kick, here's the door, it's open. So I'm very interested to see what happens. She could be an executive, music executive. Who knows? The sky's the limit. um so yeah, just shout out to her and congratulations for her, because at 12 years old, this is a huge feat. um I don't know when Mufasa come out. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna hold you. I'm probably not gonna watch Mufasa. I mean, when it hit the Disney Plus, I might, when I over holiday break, when I'm just cleaning up around the house, I might turn it on while I'm like in the kitchen and stuff, cooking and stuff. I might, I might hit the play, but I mean, I ain't gonna go to theaters. I still ain't seen the new Denzel. So if I still ain't seen the new Denzel, I'm really not gonna I'll be able to get down to the theaters to see the new Mufasa. Okay. I pay $1,000 in for Disney Plus every month, so I'm gonna have to wait till they get there. But let me know y'all thoughts. Have you gone to see Mufasa? Have you planned to see Mufasa? Take the kids down to the theater? And if so, how was Blue Ivy Carter's performance? Hit me up. Let me know your thoughts about all of these. No, y'all, hit me up. Let me know your thoughts about it. You can find me at Cornelia on social media. So actor Jaleel White has been on a press tour, a promo tour. He had a book that recently came out, and he's been doing a lot of interviews. And there has been a lot of conversation about some of the things that he's been saying. He's been shedding light on his experience with Family Matters, talking about experience with other castmates. It's just been very interesting to hear his perspective on the role he played in the show overall, and the show's impact. But for this purpose of this, I'm going to play one particular clip when he talked about his show in comparison to others, and I just want to quickly touch upon or discuss that. So I'm going to play the clip of Jaleel White during an interview now.
Being a part of the TGIF brand sometimes makes you feel like you don't completely belong in the pantheon of blackness. You know, blackness has been treated as a very monolithic experience in entertainment. You know, if it's not a hood story, it's not a black story. And you know, sometimes I feel left out of that. You know, so it's like you know, like if there's ever a poll and they say, oh, what are your favorite black shows? And you know, Martin is in there, or Living Single, or any of those guys, I already know we coming in last. But if there's ever a poll and it's just like your favorite family shows, and suddenly Martin's not in there or whatever, all of a sudden we rank really high. And so it's kind of interesting in how we look at ourselves, to be quite honest, even as black folks. And somehow I became a symbol for um, black male nerd culture, to be quite honest. I mean, I know this for a fact. Any brother that grew up in the 80s and 90s, well, 90s and 2000s, wearing glasses, he was told at school he looked like me. He was called Urkel. And he didn't look anything like me, guaranteed. But still, his peers would find a way to call him Urkel, and even girls to that extent. So it's really humbling to see how far nerd culture has come. And really, it's not nerd culture; it's smart culture. It's hobbyist culture. It's skateboarders. It's and I could never have known in a million years that I would be the face of that. I never could have known that. You can't.
So people were all over social media talking about this, and especially the statements around like if it's not a hood show, like this idea of comparing, saying the comparison to black shows versus hood shows and all of these things, and this idea and this concept of where black shows lie. Right? Let me say this: Family Matters is not one of my favorite shows. Honestly, I did not like it when it was on because Steve Urkel was creepy. Even as a young girl, that the trope of the neighbor coming over and being all over the girl and not taking a hint, I hated that trope. I hated it on Sister Sister with Marcus Houston's character, Roger. I did not like that. I said, I don't like you. Take your ass back next door and leave me alone. Okay. So I did not connect with Family Matters. Did I watch it? Yes, because y'all know back in the day, wasn't shit else on TV. On Friday, you had to watch these shows because that was it. There was the Full House, the Family Matters, all that whole lineup. But do I think it was an important show in the time period for Black people? Absolutely. Um, Do I think it holds up well? Not really. Because some of the other shows that you mentioned actually do. Living Single, for example. Living Single still holds up. Martin is still a funny show. So I think, you know, this conversation is not as simple as it sounds, especially when you think about the time period and the shows that were allowed to be on TV, because this was back in the day where there weren't all of these stations. A show had to be considered good and people had to be watching it for it to get on and get the green light. It's just unfortunate that Family Matters, I mean, it wasn't, some people like it, but I don't think it was a good show. I also don't even recall many shows around that time period being air quote hood. The only show I recall back in the day that was hood that got on TV was South Central. And that thing they canceled that thing after maybe half a season. But TV and black people were not hood on television. You had A Different World Cosby Show, Amen, the back end of the Jeffersons, because we getting out into other decades, but I'm just gonna loop that in. You had Martin, Living Single, New York Undercover, Parenthood. You had what are all those UPN shows? You had the Jamie Foxx show, Steve Harvey show. There was, when you get a little later into the timeline, um, Girlfriends, The Game. Like, there weren't many hood shows. That hood show thing started and came about much later. Now, if you talk about television now, yes, it's some hood shows. Turn on Stars. Every show, hey man, okay. But back then, I really can't think of a show that was greenlit that was hood. Even like when you think about shows like Rock, Rock had storylines that discussed or talked about being in the hood and what would happen. There was that legendary episode with Charles S. Dutton, and I forget the actor's name, where he was a drug dealer and he basically choked him out, like stuff like that. But Rock was not a hood show. That man was a hardworking man, okay, in Baltimore. So I'm not really sure that even mentioning that in this conversation about comparison during that time period is valid. But I will say that was the golden era of television, in a sense where we black people were portrayed in a way that we claim we want to be portrayed in. Let me just say that. But overall, it is what it is. Many of those shows that I enjoy, and again, like I said, even though I didn't necessarily like Family Matters that much, I watched that thing for all 8 seasons. I was locked in. Even when Stefan turned into the cute dude, Stefan Urkel, I was locked in. So hey, whatever. But what do y'all think about Jaleel White's statements? Do you agree or do you disagree? Hit me up. Let me know your thoughts about it. You can find me at Cornelia on social media. On this week's episode of Black News, we talked about the most recent lawsuit that names Sean Jay-Z Carter. We talked about Blue Ivy Carter making her red carpet debut for her role in Mufasa. And we talked about Jaleel White's statements that he's been making on his most recent press tour. Hit me up and let me know your thoughts about all of these topics, some or none, and I'll check back with you guys next time. That's it for this week's episode of Black News, y'all. Thanks again for supporting the podcast by sharing, liking, subscribing, and rating 5 stars on your favorite podcast app. To find more information about me, you can check me out at Cornelia on social media, as well as on my website, which is cornelia.com. And as always, thanks for supporting, and I'll be back next week with new topics and a new episode.